The Northwest Division appears to be one of the deepest divisions in the NBA. It may not have a Lakers or a Bucks, but they have 4 teams that could realistically make the playoffs. Since the division was formed in 2004, the Sonics/Thunder have won the most division titles at 6, followed by the Nuggets at 5, the Jazz at 3, and the Trailblazers at 2. The Timberwolves are the only team to never win the division. Will that change this season? Here are my predictions for the Northwest Division for the 2020-2021 season. As I mentioned, there are 4 teams that can make the playoffs this year. That means the odd one out is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder surprised many last season, making the playoffs and taking the Rockets to a Game 7 in the first round. The catalyst for the team, Chris Paul, was traded in the offseason for draft picks, something that the Thunder have tons of now. They also said goodbye to longtime center Steven Adams, point guard Dennis Schroeder, and Danilo Gallinari. What remains is an up-and-coming point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who averaged 19 points per game last season. He will be the main option for them on offense, along with veteran Al Horford, who they acquired in the offseason. The Thunder are hoping Horford will be a mentor for players like Lou Dort, who had a breakout performance in the bubble. The Thunder brought in Trevor Ariza, but I don't think that'll be enough for them to compete in a tough Western Conference. The Thunder and their first-year head coach have a bright future with all the draft picks they have acquired, but this season will be a rebuilding one for OKC, and I believe they will finish last in the division. At the 4th spot, it's honestly a toss-up for me between 2 teams, but I'm going to go with the Trailblazers. I just don't know what to think about this team. 2 years ago, they went to the Western Conference Finals. Last year, they barely made the playoffs and were bounced in the first round. A lot of that was due to the absence of Jusuf Nurkic, who played only 8 games last season. He should be back for this season, which should help the Blazers immensely. Of course, though, it's Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum that make this team go, and a lot of their success will rest on their shoulders. The Blazers did get better in the offseason, bringing in Robert Covington, which will provide some defense and 3-point shooting. They also brought in Derrick Jones Jr. to start at small forward and Enes Kanter to back up Nurkic at center. Carmelo Anthony will provide some scoring with the second unit, and they will be hoping to see Gary Trent Jr. make some strides. It is very possible that the Trailblazers could be headed towards another playoff appearance with a healthy Nurkic, but it still remains to be seen. So I predict that they will finish in the 4th spot in the division. In 3rd, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They made some big moves in the offseason, taking Anthony Edwards with the number 1 pick in the draft and bringing in Ricky Rubio, Ed Davis, and Rondae Hollins-Jefferson. They also re-signed Malik Beasley, who I believe will start for the Wolves. Of course, their catalysts are their 2 max players, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. We only got to see the 2 of them play 1 game together last season because of Towns' wrist injury. Towns was having a career year on the offensive end before the injury. A lot will ride on the Wolves' defense and whether or not their stars will go the extra mile to improve on that end of the court. They will also need to find some stability at power forward, whether it be Juancho Hernan-Gomez or Rondae Hollins-Jefferson. If Anthony Edwards can prove himself worthy of the 1st overall pick and Towns and Russell show some true chemistry, I give the Wolves the edge over the Trailblazers and give them the 3rd spot in the division. Coming in 2nd place is the Utah Jazz. They are coming off a first-round exit to the Denver Nuggets, taking them to 7 games. They return with their core of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert intact. They also return Mike Conley, who underperformed after coming over from the Grizzlies. The Jazz return Bojan Bogdanovic, who was injured the entire bubble. He is a threat to go off for 30 on any night. The Jazz, without him, took the Nuggets to the brink of elimination. Having a healthy Bogdanovic may have put them over the top. Donovan Mitchell balled out in the playoffs and was rewarded with a 5-year, $63 million contract. He will need to live up to that contract for the Jazz to succeed. I really like the Jazz going forward into the season, but I don't see them winning their 4th division championship. I see that that honor going to last year's champion, the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets are coming off a season where they defeated the heavy favored Clippers in the Western Conference semifinals and gave the Lakers a run for their money in the conference finals. Jamal Murray averaged 26 points per game in the playoffs last year and gained many fans. His tag team partner, Nikola Jokic, solidified himself as one of the best big men in the game. They also returned Paul Millsap and Gary Harris, and will be looking for a big season from Michael Porter Jr., who started to play to his true potential in the bubble. They will need to see the progression of RJ Hampton, who they got late in the first round and was a top prospect coming out of high school. They did lose Jeremy Grant in the offseason, but I don't think it will be that big of a factor with the emergence of Michael Porter Jr. I think the Nuggets have the best starting lineup in the division and have depth coming off the bench with Will Barton and Monte Morris. Much like Mitchell, Murray was rewarded with a max contract and will be the cornerstone for years to come. If he plays like he did in the bubble and Jokic continues to be a top 25 player, I see no reason that they won't finish first in the Northwest Division. So those are my predictions for the Northwest Division. Let me know your picks in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content.